Hey everyone. So, I've been working on this one for a hot minute now. The reason being, I'm working on creating more in-depth and long-form video content for y'all. And this game in particular that I'm going to be talking about today is one of my favorites of all time, one that got me into the hobby. And I believe it deserves to be talked about as much as its video game counterparts.
Sure, it's not the only adaptation like it. We have plenty of modern examples of video games turned board games: Resident Evil, Dark Souls, Devil May Cry, even Minecraft. And while there's a whole list of good examples, this one in particular was my first. So,
Two topics regarding the source material before we get into the tabletop game: the experience and the premise.
Doom revolves around one main conflict, no matter the game. One dude against the armies of hell. No matter the plot or entry in the 30-year-old franchise, the core is the same. A common visual motif is the clash of future tech and fire and brimstone. A Mars colony overrun with demons, corporate meddling in the occult, ancient warriors kitted with mechanized armor. You get the idea. It's through this well-established blend of visuals and themes that the extremely fast, brutal, and unrelenting gameplay is given recognition and familiarity. The actual moment-to-moment play is fairly simple on paper, with a few key components that are timeless, both in the player's mind and in the game's own mechanics. Use the right tool for the job. That's the name of the game. Each encounter is built to make you mix and match problems, demons, and solutions, bullets. Suddenly, you're in a satisfying dance of jumping from target to target, switching through your whole tool belt as you shoot, dodge, and strafe against hordes of varied enemies. This is known as the Doom Dance. It's a defining factor of every entry in this franchise, including this video's focus. In 2016, modern audiences were introduced and reminded of this gameplay loop with a modern coat of paint. Doom, the board game, 2nd edition, was released shortly after its digital counterpart in 2016. The order was a tall one. All those gameplay elements we went over were put into a single, chunky box. You're probably thinking, there's no way this replicates what the game's like. And, while of course, instant action and flashy visuals are definitely not the tabletop's strongest traits, you'd be surprised to see just what this game is capable of. Up to 4 players work as a team to efficiently work their way through sets of missions, cutting, blasting, and tearing their way through hordes of demons. The demons are well-defined chess pieces, and the Marines are equipped with the tools they need to overcome them, with a bit of ingenuity and quick thinking.
All of the aspects in this game combine to make something truly special that is unparalleled to its source material. I mean, seriously, the moves, the combat, the actions, it all mixes together so well. And I'm going to explain to you just how that happens, starting with the player's mechanics. How do the Marines work? How do they fight? What do their decks look like? And yes, there is deck building in this game. Let's check it out.
So, in the video games, a big staple was obviously the arsenal the player was given. It's classic at this point. You used all of them at the same time, having your entire number key row on your keyboard taken up by guns. This loadout system is simplified and split between the 4 players. Weapon choices include the main game's 8 weapons and guns from the 2016 multiplayer, which is always an interesting addition and some of the best guns in the game. The abilities and affordances of these cards allows for a rough approximation of the Doom Dance that I consider really well done. Marines' turns are entirely determined on what they draw from their deck, and they're afforded that by what they choose at the beginning of the game. Shuffled and drawn from at the start of each round, players start with a hand of 4. During a turn, players can choose one primary action and as many bonus actions as available. Cards contain values such as cumulative movement speed, attack dice, range, and effects. Movement speed is added up between all the cards you end up playing, and any attacks, including the oh-so-prevalent Glory Kill, are done at any point during the turn. Each weapon comes with 3 cards, and all of them have very interesting combinations. From playing multiple of the same card in a turn, or discarding cards for a special effect, there's a lot going on here. All of this without mentioning the numerous power weapons that can be found on the ground during a mission and added to your hand. Now to the other side of the table, the Demon. All 30 plus models are controlled by the 5th player. Many games have trouble balancing a system built around asymmetric gameplay, and with the info I've given so far, I wouldn't be surprised if you thought this game was in the Marines' favor. You see, this game's got a ton of plastic for a reason. To put it broadly, the Demon player is able to spawn units as fast as the 4 Slayers can tear through them. A solid chunk of the strategy of playing the Invader in this game is to manage your hordes, balancing strength and numbers with individual power. Crowds of fast, weak enemies versus singular juggernauts. Much like the Marines, the Invader engages in a bit of pre-game deck building. There's balanced, recommended options included, but experimentation with your catalog of Hellspawn is expected on repeat games. Gain and spend Argent tokens as the game goes on, allocating your resources for maximum damage. Give the Cacodemon a stun attack, or summon a devastating fireball from the Baron of Hell. The Invader has access to multiple ability decks that are mixed and matched once the mission's objectives and restrictions have been set in place. The cards are both literally and metaphorically in the player's hands.
Now that we've seen both sides of the table, with the demons being spawned in groups and groups by one player and controlled in hordes, and the Marines each being controlled by an individual, working together to tactically sweep each level. Let's dive into the combat itself, the general gameplay, and how it all ties together for mission objectives. Both teams are provided mission objective reference cards after setup. Marines are often given a bit more varied objectives than the Demon player. You see, they can get anything from escorting a delivery drone across the map to hunting down mission objectives placed all over. The Demon player, on the other hand, is given spawn rules that dictate how they activate new demons mid-game. The Demon player also selects from a host of spawn cards that dictate where and what kinds of demons they can place down throughout the match. One of the more important factors of the game is the initiative deck. All Marines have one card in the deck, but the Invader player gets one card for every type currently on the board, as they can only move one entire type of demons per turn. The deck is updated and reshuffled at the top of every round. Actual combat resolution is fairly simple. Follow line of sight and roll the indicated dice on the weapon card. If you're on the receiving end, you're going to want to draw from the top of your deck and see the indicated marker for different defense types. Demons have a Glory Kill status. Once they're under a certain threshold,
A Marine player can move into the same space as them for an insta-kill. Also important to mention, when a Marine player dies, the invader gains a frag token, a point that goes towards their objective, and the Marine is respawned at the beginning of the next round. Multiple spawn points are activated as the game goes on. All that to say, when all this comes together, oh boy, it's something special. Now all that's left is to crack open the campaign book and build one of the 12 missions to fight on. From there, it's all up to you.
So, there you have it. Doom the board game. Absolutely killer, right? I really hope you guys have liked this, and if you have the chance to, get a copy of this game. It is so worth it if you're into this kind of game, or if you're looking for a gateway into this genre of game. It was my first big box game, like I mentioned earlier, and, well, I hadn't gone back. Anyway, I wanted to make this video in a sort of celebration of the newest Doom game coming out, The Dark Ages. As we just saw in QuakeCon 2024, we have a lot to be excited about. I'm really, really happy that this community is still alive and going to this day. And I wanted to highlight a very special game that was near and dear to my heart and is, unironically, one of my top games in the Doom franchise. Yes, that's including the video games. So, all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope I sparked your interest in a neat little game that I think deserves a lot more appreciation. Later.